Hello, this is Dan Ferrisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. So happy to be joined today by Maureen Carlson, who is co-founder and president of System Surveyor. This conversation is taking place as part of our Business Resources Deep Dive, which will be all over both securitysales.com and commercialintegrator.com throughout the month of December, as well as being right in the heart of our November-December issue. System Surveyor is a sponsor of that and has some really important messaging to share today, talking about open system design platforms to advance the physical security industry. That's exactly what System Surveyor is, isn't it, Maureen?
Absolutely, Dan. Thanks so much for having us. I'm really excited to be here today. I hope many of you already know a little bit about System Surveyor. It's certainly been a lot in the physical security and low voltage industry. We're a really easy to use site survey and system design. We do say a software platform because you can use it. It is a cloud-based platform. So it is hosted on Amazon Web Services. You could access it at your computer, but you can also access it through a mobile tablet and take it out to the field, which is something that a lot of our users like to do for a site survey. And, everywhere from designing all kinds of components of systems, cabling, video surveillance, access control, intrusion, and on. And ultimately getting that to a design ready for a proposal and automated bill of materials. And it's even happening now post-sales. So that's just a really quick elevator about us.
Absolutely. You're certainly an industry leading company. It's been fascinating to watch your continued evolution and growth and influence throughout our industry. So again, thank you so much for joining me. As you said, it really is a platform, but what we started with was talking about an open platform, the centrality of openness. Do you want to talk a little bit definitionally about what open platform means, why it's so important, why you self-identify in that way?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the most important things. And I want to give a shout out to the founder of System Surveyor. His co-founder is Chris Hugman. He worked in the industry for many, many years in the system integrator shoes. So he's been there, done that. And I come a little bit more from the software industry. But one thing that I think a real differentiator, what's really unique about System Surveyor is being really open. And I'm going to tell you 4 ways that we're open that I think, you can kind of take away and ponder on. The most important first one is that we're open to diverse system types. So just by the nature of system integrator or a system surveyor, there's many components to developing a solution for a client. Almost nobody just sells video surveillance. So almost, very few just sell access control. And even within those, there's a lot of components to making a great product. So you need, even some people still say CCTV or video surveillance. And even within that, there's a lot of components to making that. Of course, we know there's a lot of cloud recording going on. You've got cabling. That's a really interesting one that a lot of people sometimes go, I can pick a camera over here, but I'm going to need to get cabling to it. What's the plan there? In access control, well, there's a door, but there's also a reader, a Rex, all the components that make up access control, intrusion detection, so many interesting things going on in sensors. So obviously you see it go on and on. There's building management, IT. So Chris's real vision was, I don't design for just one component of this. I'm open in terms of system types. So that's the most important first pillar. And in one place, that's really making an integrator's life a lot easier. We're also brand agnostic. I don't know if I'm always picking the best term there, but basically we're open to any kind of manufacturer's product. And we've maintained that. By the way, we're more than 9-10 years now in the industry, so we're not exactly a startup, but we've got, more than 24 manufacturers that now make their product catalogs almost like a plugin and then available to System Surveyor. So you can drag and drop. So you may start at a fixed camera, right? That's the most common one. But then we have a new feature called Camera Advisor. Maybe we'll get into that later. Designing on pixels on target. What would the client visually see? What is the AI, application? Is this people counting? Is license plate recognition? Making sure, and there's thousands of cameras. And so we need to make sure we're getting the right one and automating a bill of materials. So we're open to manufacturers, and many sell multiple manufacturers. The third one is open for collaboration. This has been such an exciting piece of it, because the first thing I ask someone when they come into us, and they do all day long, how do you know about System Surveyor? And still 9 times out of 10, they say, well, I saw my integrator using it. I saw my manufacturer sales engineer using it because what we've designed is an ability to invite each other in, not to send emails on PDFs of floor plans. That we really lose so much of the metadata there. The opportunity to look at photos and what they mean. Hey, I want a camera here. It needs to look here. So this ability to be open for collaboration has probably spurred things in ways that we never imagined. So you've got a lot of end users, integrators working together on a daily basis, planning together. Love to see that. We're also working with a lot of manufacturers to help them with their sales engineering. You know, they're usually one to many people. So, and then the fourth one that I think really hits with the deep dive that I'm excited about, and I come more from the software industry, is being able to integrate through API with other business applications. You know, we're not trying to be an ERP, very important integrators. We're not trying to be the CRM. You know, project management, maybe to a certain extent, even certain, you know, proposal applications. We are the great part of mapping and doing a digital design and the bill of materials. So we are actually going to be announcing, even we already have an API, but we're starting to have some out of the box integrations available to our customers. And we really want to be open to that. Not everybody's going to pick the same thing, but people want all these things to streamline. And I think that probably fits a lot into the business resources. So we're pretty excited about 2026 and what that will bring. So those are our 4 ways.
Yeah, excited for very good reason, clearly. It seems like you are touching on all of kind of the hot button needs of the market right now in the physical security industry. Do you want to just talk about, in general, some of those physical security industry trends, some of those needs, why this open approach that you've embraced is so important and why it aligns with the needs as you understand them?
Well, I get it. Probably most companies would love to have an end-to-end software that does it all. I mean, it's hard. You know, you got multiple softwares that you're choosing, but there's probably, you know, the software's been around in other segments for a long time. I'm really excited to see people get just a touch more sophisticated on the tech stack. This is a really important time, but here's the why. It's all about, you know, scaling their businesses and doing it not, you know, I say profitability. I mean, at the end of the day, if you run a system integration business, which is our primary you know, customer, user, you know, you can't just sell all day long. By the way, I don't think demand is their problem most of the time, which is actually in a remarkable place to be. And it's always the best thing, but it is really hard to get a design together in a reasonable period of time. The customer needs it quickly and they want to meet, you know, they want it within a day or two, but they also, it has to be accurate, because that's where the profitability comes in. If you go out and you don't do a site walk and gather all the right information, it's possible that, you know, there's an RMA or there's another truck roll. This is not a good situation. So again, my co-founder, Chris, you know, he said it always starts at that very first point. What does the customer need, and can we take that all the way through? So that's one of the drivers. The other one I really like, and it's really our higher level mission statement, is fulfilling the promise of the technology. It's really easy to buy cameras and plug them in somewhere. But what's different is, what is it really going to drive? And we're also excited about AI, and there's new things coming around the corner every day. But that's meeting where physical meets. It's kind of a garbage in, garbage out. If the, you know, pixels aren't on target, aren't correct, it's possible the AI is not going to be able to do whatever we need it to do. So fulfilling the promise of the technology for safety and of people and places. I mean, that's at the end of the day what we're all trying to deliver. And then you know, just very evolving expectations for us to be flexible and engaged with our end users. They want to have a little bit more control. Good news is they're planning and budgeting for what they're going to spend. So how do we get involved with them so early on, and visualizing and design? So those are some of the biggest trends I see as I talk to hundreds and hundreds of integrators, end users, and manufacturers.
The term you use, fulfilling the promise, really resonated with me because, as you say, like, anyone can install a camera or procure a camera or something like that. It's really about the outcome, right? It's fulfilling that promise, delivering that outcome, assuring safety, ensuring protection, ensuring that the outcome is achieved. And that really seems to be what you are helping to facilitate. Do you want to add anything else that you've not touched on so far about how System Surveyor is addressing each of these needs that you've identified, and more importantly, just in general, helping the industry? I know they say a rising tide lifts all boats. How are you helping rise the tide for the entire industry?
I just think there's so much opportunity. And maybe in the past, I see some funny things that I even think back on when I first entered, which is about 12 years ago and probably 10 years with System Surveyor. There's a growth mindset that I think all of us might want to really have because I mean, we know that the physical security industry is growing really quickly when we can all deliver together. If you think about a manufacturer that has a cloud-based product, it's really not so much about the hardware anymore. But if the hardware, I'm picking on cameras here, there's a lot of other areas. You put a camera in until that camera's installed and actively working, you can't bill the customer the recurring revenue. And so it's all this big cyclical, I don't see each other disintermediating each other necessarily. The manufacturers need the hands out there and the end users need the hands. And that's just so even better than I expected for this industry. And I think we're a part of creating a place. I mean, even public safety, how can we get them involved with schools? How can they have access? Remember that the end user, which we think of like, corporate, we got lots of Fortune 500 companies we work with. There's, financial institutions, retail, so forth. There's also a lot of schools, higher ed and K-12. They each have a customer too. And sometimes those customers are not technical. They're not from this industry. They're lay person in terms of technical. And one thing that I really love to see is that they can visualize, if I'm going to spend $100,000, or I think I just saw a benchmark, it's very common to be refreshing $1 million, $2 million. That's a huge investment. It's a very important one. And could we visualize a little bit better with what they're going to get for that? And side, cameras are a great example because you can look and go, well, gee, if we don't spend this, that area could be at risk. So we're giving a way to visualize and help bring the technology a little less overwhelming. And it used to be on a yellow pad, and it can't be on a yellow pad anymore. They want to be involved. They want to know what they're investing in. So that's probably how I would answer that one.
I think we've moved past the yellow pad, to be sure. Well, thank you very much, Maureen. This has been a very informative conversation about System Surveyor, which really does truly seem to be an open system design platform that is making significant strides in advancing the entire physical security industry. Thank you for allowing us to learn more about it and sharing your insights with us.
Absolutely, Dan. Thanks so much for all that you all do. And we always want to collaborate and see where we can move it forward for everyone. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. As you say, moving forward for everyone. A rising tide lifts all boats, and it's all about the betterment of the physical security industry and the outcomes that we seek to ensure. Again, thank you so much, Maureen Carlson, co-founder and president of System Surveyor. My name is Dan Ferrisi. I'm Group Director of Content and Editorial for Industrial and Tech at Emerald. As I said at the outset, please do keep your eye out for that business resources deep dive, which will be all over securitysales.com and commercialintegrator.com throughout the month of December. And in our November-December print issue, we're going to be a big showcase feature, 8+ pages. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.